one thing I wanted to talk about, because today is just a primer, I want to come back and talk about some other things in detail at a later date. And I'm also going to have you on Gaia, where we're going to get into some things, but I want to tiptoe into it today. The world situation. The economy, there's so much to look at, but let's just go right now with some of the world leaders who are, from most of our vantage points, looking a little concerning. The situations are concerning, and the leaders that go along with it, maybe not. So can you go ahead and give us a kind of a sketch of what you're seeing among some of the main players, such as Biden and Putin and whoever else you choose to put into the mix? Maybe.
Well, what I find fascinating right now is the fact that Putin, Zelensky, and Xi Ping.
Yeah,
I don't know how to say his name, honestly.
I just say Xi. Yeah.
They're all two of diamonds.
All of them?
All of them.
Okay, wait. Okay. That's weird. Now tell me the implication of this.
Well, I'll tell you in a second here. So let's see. Xi Ping is a Gemini. Zelensky is a Aquarius, and Putin is a Libra. So they're all air signs too. So one thing about this is two of diamonds is known to be, I don't want to insult anybody, but they have an issue with being honest. Okay. They have two things built into their karmic pattern that make it very easy for them to lie about everything. So anything out of Putin's mouth or Xi Jinping is complete lie. It's all lies. Zelensky too. He's being the good guy right now. He wasn't such a good guy before this, by the way. I mean, if you look in the past, there's a lot of corruption in his government and things too. But now he's being forecast or put out there as a good guy, and we're all behind him and all that, which is fine. It's fine. But what's cool about that is that Zelensky knows exactly what Putin's doing and why he's doing it, because he's the same card. He knows exactly what he's doing. And he'll say, Putin's saying this, but this is the truth. It's kind of cool in that way. I think that's kind of cool. Biden is a King of Hearts and a Four of Clubs. And it turns out that the Four of Clubs is in a moon position to the Two of Diamonds. So he wouldn't do well competing with any of these three. Okay. He's doing fine as long as he keeps his distance from them. But the closer he gets to them, the more he's going to go their way in some fashion. And that Biden is there. It's becoming obvious that he and his son have made business deals and money from China and so forth. And so it's coming to light. Let's say.
Yep.
Trump. I don't like Trump. I want to say that right up front. I don't like him because he's like such a liar. He's a Three of Diamonds. But
wait a minute, you just tossed that away. He's the Three of Diamonds. Are Three of Diamonds liars too?
They can be. All threes can be big liars. Okay, because they're really all the creative cards, the jacks and the threes. The ones that are super creative are the ones that make up stories. Okay, they can make up stories very easy to come up with something plausible. Okay, I mean it's completely unlike your card, Six of Clubs. You're all about honesty. Sixes are all about responsibility. Okay. So but the threes,
Three of Diamonds and Trump.
But the one thing that Trump had going for him in the international stage was that all these Two of Diamonds were moon to him. So he has the power with them. That's one thing that he had going.
Interesting. His card trumped their card, no pun intended. So now where does this leave Biden?
Well,
because you said
Trump doesn't have good cards. Trump's not going to do much this year.
But I mean, didn't you say Biden also has an Ace of Hearts, which is the one that won't?
No, he's a King of Hearts, and he's a Four of Clubs.
King of Hearts. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he's a Scorpio King of Hearts. Actually, he's a double four. So he's all about control, and he's a King of Hearts, and that's why he gets touchy feely with the girls.
Yeah.
They have to remind him, keep your hands off
Put your hands in your pocket, Joe.
yeah, Joe. He just can't stop himself. He's too old now to change. So what's he gonna do?
I mean, really, when you look at the whole cast of characters, I mean, of the people that are coming up, and we don't even know exactly. We know Trump's going to try to run again, but you say his cards aren't good and his astrology is not good for that. Is there anyone out there who looks kind of like their cards are rising?
Well, absolutely. The governor of Florida, he's got good cards.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because he's the most prominent person poking right now.
I haven't looked ahead really to see. I haven't looked at it. I don't usually do that until we get a little closer to the election.
He hasn't even formally announced he's running.
Right. He hasn't even announced that, but I'm pretty sure he will. I don't, again, I haven't really looked into it. I don't want to comment too much about it.
Yeah,
because I haven't really looked into it in depth yet. But I like him. I like him because I used to have a neighbor that was his birthday, and I really liked him. He was very honest and he had standards. He had moral standards. Virgos are all about perfection, and they're always trying to like improve things. I'm not saying they're perfect or anything, but they at least have that going for them.
What card is he?
He's a 10 of clubs and an 8 of diamonds.
Oh, okay.
Now those cards are in the crown line, so he was destined to rise up to a high level in his lifetime, and I don't think he's done rising up. I think he's got a lot more rising up to go.
I hope you're enjoying this video, because if you are, there are dozens more like it on my site, all supported by people like you. So if you'd like to keep this work rolling in and join our community, just click on the Patreon button at reginameredith.com. That also gives you access to insider commentary, my live book club, and other live events with special guests. So join in. Thanks.
Interesting. Well, that looks at the U.S. Okay, so you got two liars. Three liars.
Here's the thing that I think that I'm becoming much more aware of this. You can call this the age of corruption, the age of the thief, the age of greed, of fraud. That's what we're in right now. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Everywhere you look, it's there. This whole bailout of this bank in California.
Yep.
Why they bailed it out, why we, the taxpayers, are paying for it, why didn't it get attention, why wasn't there discussion about it, more discussion before it happened? This is going on every single day in our world, and really, it's beyond our control. You and I have nothing to do with it. I mean, we can put out information, we can put out some objective thought about it and so forth, but ultimately, we don't have any control in that arena.
No, we don't. But what about, okay, so then you have Credit Suisse, and they made it sound like, well, the other bank's buying them out. Well, the other bank was bailed out to the tune of $250 billion by the Swiss government. So even Credit Suisse has been bailed out. So now,
who's calling the shots? Who's deciding who gets bailed out?
Exactly.
And the SVB, the bank in California, the top 10 people that have money in the bank all got bailed out. It was 10 people that had over $14 billion they got bailed out. Who decided that?
Same thing over and over.
So what do you do? What do you do?
Well, what I'm wondering right now, and a lot of people are wondering, because in some of the astrology, it's certainly appearing that April and into May could start getting pretty shifty. And shaky. Is there any way using the card system to tell if we're going to, en masse, have a sort of a greater slide economically versus an uptick?
Well, there's people that have studied, like they take the birth of the United States, July 4th, 1776, and you can run cards on that right now for the year. And there seems to be some correlation there. It's not something that I focus on personally. I'm more into individuals and their
that's
karma.
why I'm asking.
Yeah. So you have to have a birthday for anything. So, I've played around with sport teams. I've done work with corporations in the past, helping people decide when to incorporate and doing business relationships and things of that nature, helping in the corporate area. And it's very effective there, by the way. The cards are very effective in relationships. Oh my God, it's amazing what you can do. Just knowing the birthdays, you can tell the whole dynamic of everybody who works together, who's having a hard time, who's really the boss, so forth and so on. It's very powerful. But there is no as far as I know, there's no like card for the year that's for
Right,
everybody.
right.
Oh, we're going to come into a good year because it's going to be a good
Yeah.
card this year.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
that.
we can just look around at the headlines and what's not making the headlines, what's being buried, and figure it out for ourselves. I mean, we're in a very slippery period of time economically. I mean, everything's
Well, you know, the corruption is everywhere. You can
Yeah.
just count on it. Whether the U.S. government will default, I don't think so, but it's always a possibility. So, you know, if you have money and you want to keep it safe, you know, I'd be in T-bills right now.
yeah, they're doing well. So
5%.
what about our relationship with China, considering the two characters at the top?
Well, there's a guy on YouTube that I like a lot. His name is Peter Zehan. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I have heard of him, and
Zeihan.
okay,
I think he's pronounced Zane actually, but he's nailed it. He's a politicist. He knows everything about China and everybody else. And they don't have any power right now. And Russia doesn't have any power. It's just a matter of time. They're both going down the toilet pretty quick.
So what happened? What happened? Here we have a time back where China looked like it was absolutely going to be the new superpower. I mean, all of the predictions were it was on its way there. Certainly, they're an industrious nation. But everything I read, they made an interesting for a long view type of culture. How some of these decisions on an economic level could have been made is beyond me, with ghost cities and buildings collapsing and empty, whole ghost.
Well, that's the entire system in China is so corrupt. It's more corrupt than ours. Okay. Everybody is getting paid. Like you buy yourself into a position like a mayor or a town.
Right.
It's all bought and sold. You know, and ultimately it's under the power of the Communist Party, which is Xi Jinping, right?
Right.
It's ultimately all there. And so he can just kick you out, take your money. You could be a big business. So he could just take your business and throw you away at a heartbeat, you know, but it's so corrupt that, and in Russia too, you know, like Russia, they were like, the guys were selling, the guys in the army were selling the weapons before they got to the battlefield.
Yes, I read that.
You know, that kind of stuff is. So China is similarly like that. And see, they grew so fast. They grew so fast, in such a short period of time. But all that growth was based on the U.S. protecting all the shipping lanes and giving them access to the markets. It was all based on that. So now we're pulling back from that. And now China's got some big problems.
Yes.
We took away all their chips, you know. I saw a video of this guy who lived in China for a long time, and he said, you know, he says, let me give you an example. So China, they could make ballpoint pens, but they could not figure out how to make the ball point. The ball that's in the ballpoint pen.
Right.
So the Chinese government issued an edict. This is about 10 years ago. Make a ball for the ballpoint pen so we don't have to import these anymore. It took them 6 or 7 years to do that.
Wow. Okay. I think they
figure that out on their own.
Okay. Well, one thing I've heard they're figuring out is because of the shipping issues and so forth, the shipping lanes you spoke of earlier, and because of all the breakdowns during COVID showed the vulnerability of systems is my understanding is they're starting to invest in a fairly large projects anyway, you know, hundreds of millions of dollar factories and such in Mexico, so they can continue servicing, whether it's furniture or whatever the factory, you know, produces, so they can continue serving the American consumer without having to.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that, but you've heard of the Belt and Road Initiative, right?
No, well, I don't think so.
It's the hugest thing. It's the thing that they've been doing for the past 5 years. They've been going all over the world and giving countries a lot of money, paying off the politicians. I'm talking billions of dollars in order to get like rights to the ports. This is in Australia. This is in India and other countries. And they constructed these things really crappily, like they normally do. They don't make things very well.
Mhm.
And they've paid off people all over the world while they had the money, trying to get some influence, because they really wanted to take over. They wanted to take over the US. They wanted to, be in control. But it's all coming to light now how bad it is, and it's not really working. They're not going to be able to do it. So if you listen to Peter Zane, you'll find out there's really nothing to be concerned about as far as China goes.
Okay. Yeah. And that's speaking also from an American kind of centric point of view. I get that.
Yeah.
So at large, just all of the money spent, all of the hype, just the whole notion of jacking up oil prices, blaming it on the Ukraine situation. And then even when I believe it was Chevron has the highest profits historically ever.
It's all greed. It's all
greed.
people. It's all people being paid off. It's just corruption everywhere.
It is, and people are suffering. Real people.
They don't care about us. Trust me.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you might also want to consider joining Patreon, which allows me to keep all of this content free and available to everyone. And if you're looking for like-minded souls, you might also enjoy my online community called Our Neighborhood. Links to join are in the description.